Hello and welcome to the Crimewatch Roadshow. All this month we are live from all around the country bringing Crimewatch to you. And all this week we're in the northeast of England. Good morning, Rav.
Morning, Sophie, and today I'm on the hunt for the graffiti vandals. And if you know who's been doing any of this lot, you could even end up getting a nice little cash reward. More on that later.
Our number is there on the screen, so if you can help, do get dialing. And coming up, reckon you're too smart to be swindled? Well, these two say they can hustle anyone, anywhere. And they're going to show us how easy it is to fall for it. Alex Conran and Paul Wilson from the BBC's Real Hustle are here with us this morning. Right now, though, back to Rav.
Thanks, Sophie. Today I'm in West Newcastle, and our first case this morning is a truly vicious knife attack that really needs your help as soon as possible. Take a look at this.
It was the most terrifying thing I've ever went through in my life.
Nobody should be carrying a knife.
I mean, I've never seen that much blood. He's obviously went out with intentions of hurting somebody.
Knife crime regularly hits the headlines in the UK. Northumbria police work closely with schools to warn kids at an early age about the danger of carrying knives. PC Wendy Scott is teaching a secondary school class in Sunderland.
Got some pictures which I'm going to pass through. Yeah, weapons of power. So if you pass them through, have a look at them, and then we'll discuss why we're calling them weapons of power. And we want you all to really think seriously about the consequences of carrying a knife. Now, when this knife campaign started back in July last year, a total of 18 young people had been killed by knives in the UK. That's 3 a month. Now, that's quite a high number.
Initially, they do get shocked by some of the images. There are some images of injuries that are caused. There are images of the sort of weapons that people carry, and it is a little bit of a shock tactic. And then that's built up with further information from the officers about the consequences, the dangers and the impact that has on families.
Northumbria police hope that teaching children about knives at a young age will help prevent knife attacks like the one being investigated by DS Nigel Howitt.
The attack that happened here on the footbridge in Forest Hall on the 17th of January could have quite easily turned into a murder investigation.
Me and my friend were walking up towards the step bridge in Forest Hall. About 11:15 at this point. He was about 10-15 yards in front, on the phone to another friend. As I was walking up the step bridge, I noticed a guy coming down towards us, eating a carton of chips. My friend shouted something down to me, and I started laughing. And then I heard some mumbling.
You've got nature.
I just panicked, but then when I realised it was actually a large bread knife, I was absolutely terrified.
Well, with me now is DCI Max Black, who's leading the investigation, and join us later when we find out exactly what did happen to Derek, and we bring you the clues which we hope will help you solve it.
And remember, we are here all morning, so if you can help us, do call 08000 468 999, or you can text on 63399, text CW space and then your message. And remember to leave a space or your message will not get through. Also on this morning's show, our correspondent, Peter Lugg, is with us. And what have you got for us today, Peter?
Hi, Sophie. Good morning. Well, today we're asking, can you name the man with the can responsible for these so-called graffiti tags? And we'll be talking to one reformed character about why on earth people do this to our neighbourhoods.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Plus, our most wanted faces. Are you going to know any of them? I'll tell you more about them later on. But right now, keep your eyes peeled because you might just recognise one of these criminals caught on camera.
The BP garage in Willsbridge, Bristol, November 2006. A member of staff and his mate are hard at work, but it's not legit. They're busy installing a machine behind the counter to secretly clone customers' credit cards. Incredible. While one keeps a lookout, the other spends nearly 10 minutes under the desk fitting the card cloning machine. Clever plan, except we can see exactly what they're up to, because they did it all in front of the cameras. Nice one, lads. We know who this one is. He's a member of BP staff, George Dirisham. He was arrested but skipped bail and he's on the run. Where is he now? And who's his mate fitting the machine? In 2 months, they cloned nearly 200 credit cards and ripped off customers to the tune of 100 grand. A Saturday night in March, and this man's roaming round the streets of Ilford. At the station, he stops a group of lads before walking back the way he came, pulling his hood up as he goes. He doesn't look like he's in much of a hurry. Here he is, heading for the Blue Ice Bar, and he's looking for one of the bouncers. From another camera, we get a better look at what happens next. He picks out his target, pulls a gun, and fires. Zahib Mehdi was shot 3 times at point-blank range. He didn't stand a chance and died. It was a cold-blooded assassination. Name, please. A man gambling on a machine at a bookies on the Edgware Road in London. What could be strange about that? Not much until he starts checking out the place, and then he can't stop. Nice moves, mate. It looks like he's winding himself up, but he's actually biding his time before calling the cashier over to check the machine. He grabs the cash and runs for the door. She follows, but is thrown across the room, breaking her wrist. How brazen can you get? He's believed to be a regular at the betting shops around Paddington and Marble Arch. If you've seen him, dancing or not, call us.
Extraordinary. Well, do you recognise anyone? Do call us. The numbers are on screen throughout the show. Now, we've featured some extraordinary CCTV over the last few weeks, including this case. Have a look at this man, the one nearest us here, in the suit, taking his jacket off. He has spotted a bag under the table next to him, and the couple there, oblivious to what he's doing. There he is, leg out, hooks the bag under his jacket, and off he goes. Well, I'm joined now by the Real Hustle team, Alex Conran and Paul Wilson, who are masters of just this kind of scam. Good morning to both of you. I've seen that CCTV a couple of times now, and what amazes me every time is that no one notices, but the guy looks the part, doesn't he?
Well, that's the big key, is that he blends in, so he walks in looking smart, and even if they notice the bag is gone later, the last person they're going to suspect is someone who looks like an honest businessman sitting behind them. So he's taken the steps to blend into the environment to make sure that no one's suspicious of him from the moment that he walks in the door. And that gives him all the cover that he needs.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got the jacket, which he uses to cover the bag
part of the crime
when he's leaving. So he's thought it out. But it just proves that you shouldn't assume anything. You should really keep an eye on your stuff and don't trust anybody unless you know better.
And appearances, I mean, are so deceptive, aren't they?
Very.
You set up a nightclub scam for your programme, The Real Hustle. Talk us through the clip we're about to see.
Absolutely. We found a space that would be suitable, hold quite a few people, and it was sort of in the right area. We organised the club night. We put flyers, we put posters up, the promise of a possible celebrity appearance, and we formed a queue. And of course, everywhere people see a queue, they think, oh, maybe I should join.
There.
I should join this trendy queue.
Well, let's see what happens.
Come on, let's just go in and see.
There are no celebrities at this party, and no DJ. In fact, this is no nightclub at all. These clubbers have just paid £20 a head for an empty room with a cheap stereo and some toy disco lights. Here's what the marks didn't see. 3 hours earlier, Paul and Alex laid out some cheap red carpet and threw up a rope barrier to make the outside of the club look the part.
Thank you.
Then later, once Alex had collected the door money, he headed inside to join Jess.
Okay, just to make sure they're clear, then I'm going to...
Followed shortly afterwards by Paul. All 3 hustlers went straight through the empty building, out a back exit, and into their getaway car, along with hundreds of pounds of other people's money.
Lots of money, which you obviously gave back to those people
Of
afterwards.
course.
Does that kind of thing, though, nightclub scams like that, I mean, is that something that really happens?
Yes, it does happen. It happens all the time. It has happened in the past. The most common times that this has occurred is parties that come off the back of summer festivals. So people sort of saying that they've got a field somewhere in the countryside and lots of great bands are going to go and play, and they take the money up front for the tickets, and of course you get people showing up in the middle of a field waiting for a concert to happen, and it never materialises.
But Paul, you interview people after you've done these scams. Why do those people fall for that? Why do they hand you all their money?
You know, it looks perfect. There's leaflets, there's posters, there's tickets. You know, the whole thing feels real, as you said, in the right period or in the right place. You know, if you do something like this on the island of Ibiza, where these kind of events are common, it's easy to be attracted to something that looks like the real thing. And these things happen recently. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we saw a really big event that everyone turned up to and was a complete a fraud. And they took tens of thousands of pounds.
Is there any way people can protect themselves from them or not? I mean, how do you actually know if it's
There
real?
is. You know, go to established things that you know about, use word of mouth, check things. Now we've got the internet as well. You can check things up online. You can follow up and sort of use your wits, you know. If it's something that's brand new, examine it a little bit, have a look, see if it is genuine.
The key is to not buy blindly.
Right.
Do a little bit of research.
It is often the simplest tricks that fool people, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Whether you're talking about scams like that in a nightclub or you're talking about being pickpocketed.
Yeah, it is. What we always sort of say is that scammers are the hackers of human nature. So when you're doing your job and during the day you're going from A to B, you're not really thinking about being scammed.
Yeah.
So it's when you're not concentrating on it and when you're not thinking about it, that's when it's the easiest to move in and take advantage of
Okay,
people.
well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on regarding holidays and going abroad, because that's when a lot of people actually get ripped off, isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you very much. Now, let's go back to Peter Lugg, who is on the hunt for some pet shop boys.
Thanks, Sophie. Now, back in May, thieves raided a local pet store and they got away with a shop full of gear. The officer in charge of the case is Sergeant John Heaton. John, what happened?
Essentially, Peter, as you say, sometime between the end of May and the first week in June, thieves targeted the Sunshine Pet Supply Store, which is in Stakeford in Northumberland. One night during that week, the thieves went to the rear of the store, forced open the security door, went into the premises and totally cleared of it all of his stock.
Yeah, we can see the before and after pictures here. I mean, the whole place has been decimated, and this is someone's business.
It was a complete mess, Peter. Obviously, as you say, the whole place has been completely devastated. All of the stock has been taken, and as a result, the premises had to close, which is a real shame for the victim.
It's a pet shop. Now, what about animals?
Basically, I think this was about the only positive aspect of this burglary. Fortunately, the premises was under renovation at the time, and there was no livestock on the premises at all.
Some pretty sophisticated gear was taken, serious pet keeping equipment. Can you run through a few things?
Basically, anything that anybody would associate with a well-stocked pet store was taken. We had various bird cages, aquariums, reptile tanks, a full range of foodstuffs and other associated pet things like leads and collars.
So who are you appealing to, John?
Basically, our main appeal is to any member of the public who might have any information. We work closely with the public. They are our eyes and ears, and we would appeal to anybody who has any information to pass that on to us, and we would be grateful for that.
John, thanks a lot. So if you are offered any cheap gear for your prized pooch, you know the number to call. Sophie, back to you.
Peter, thank you. Now, if you know anything, please do call. The numbers are on the screen, 08000 468 999, or text 63399, text CW, space, and then your message. And don't forget to leave the space, or your message will not get through to us. A look now at how your calls have been helping us. Here's some of the progress from yesterday. Now, remember the man that we showed you on CCTV, wanted for a serious sexual assault in Camden in North London? Well, we've had a name suggested for him and a police officer called who thinks he's had dealings with him in the past. Yesterday, we also featured the shocking story of a bar manager who was nearly blinded when robbers in high visibility jackets sprayed him in the eyes with ammonia. They then made off with his takings more than £40,000. Well, we've been given names of both suspects. And finally, we've also been given a name for the e-fit that we showed you of the youth wanted in connection with the carjacking case in South London, one of the 5 men who targeted a 19-year-old girl in her car. We'll keep you posted on all of those. Now, Rav is on the case of some illegal artists.
Yeah, it seems you can't go anywhere these days without seeing graffiti. It's everywhere. Well, that is until these boys get there first. And up here in the northeast, it's no different. And it's a daily job just to keep on top of it.
It's a nightmare that blights many of the UK's streets. This criminal damage can happen anywhere, from public places to people's houses.
First war of the 21st century.
The villains are the graffiti taggers.
It's a real problem because it affects people's perceptions of the area that they live in. It's a signal crime, and if you get a lot of graffiti in an area, it tends to make people feel unsafe. It makes people feel that it's not a nice area to live in.
And it seems these people agree.
I actually hate tagging. It really frustrates me.
Costing people so much money just to remove graffiti.
It just really looks really undesirable.
I just think it's scruffy. It makes the place look good.
I don't really see the point of that.
I certainly wouldn't want it on my property.
What they need is a superhero. Or rather, 2 superheroes. And as we all know, every superhero needs an outfit.
Members of the public can contact our contact centres to report any graffiti that they see in the local community, and one of our graffiti removal teams will try and respond as quickly as possible.
The Name That Tag initiative is a collaboration between the local neighbourhood team and Newcastle City Council to deal with graffiti in the area. James Farquharson leads the removal teams into battle.
I think through the partnership work that we're doing with the local police and also local schools, we're definitely helping to combat this issue and take measures to prevent future graffiti. Basically, we've got a very open-minded policy in terms of removing graffiti as and when it occurs. So obviously we target hotspot areas, but wherever we can't get access to graffiti and remove it, that's what we're trying to do.
As part of the Name That Tag scheme, a reward is offered in return for the identity of a tagger.
Basically what happens is James's graffiti removal team comes and photographs the particular tags when they're reported or when his team comes across them. We then get them made up into poster form, and those posters are put in public places, for example, the swimming pool, the schools, any public areas.
Responsibility for spreading the word falls to a team of community officers.
Do you recognise any of these tags on this poster at all? The idea is for members of the public to see the posters and to come forward with any information. Are you familiar with any of these tags? All 3 of them have appeared in the West Detton area.
And if a tagger is caught, they could face much more than they bargained for.
The penalties can range from a caution, which is recorded on their criminal record, or the other end of the scale is a £5,000 fine or a term of imprisonment.
The Name That Tag initiative has led to a dramatic reversal in the number of graffiti tags.
I think the Name That Tag campaign that we've seen running since December of last year has had a marked effect in terms of actually preventing graffiti coming up in the first place, which can only be a positive thing for the city and local communities.
I think Name That Tag is excellent. It's a good idea. I think anything to help.
And James Farquharson from Newcastle City Centre is actually with me now, who we saw from the film there. Tell us what's going on in the background with this mean bit of kit.
Keith and Alan have actually applied a graffiti removal gel to the tags that we see behind us, and they're currently washing it off with a very, very high pressure hose.
You say high pressure, it's so high pressure they've even had to have steel toe cap boots, haven't they? Because it could really hurt your foot.
They do indeed. They're fully trained and they're wearing all the appropriate PPE equipment.
Now, it's worth saying that although we got some graffiti here, we came here last night looking for some, and it was actually completely bare, and it's gone up overnight. So this is a real-time crime, isn't it?
It is indeed. This was actually done overnight, so we're currently removing off the wood now.
But I've also got to say that it took us hours to even find this, because yesterday there was no graffiti anywhere because you're too efficient, you and your team.
We're pleased to hear that. The teams we've got are working very hard to try and keep the city clean and safe.
So tell us what this business of tagging actually is then.
Tagging is the name given to the individual signatures used by the graffiti artist who used the same tag repeatedly to try and gain notoriety.
And then name this tag scheme, which is only a few months old. You're already getting some good calls and information, aren't you?
We have indeed. It's still in its early stages, but we're getting very positive feedback, and I believe the police are following up on a few leads that they've had already.
Yeah, so we hope they continue to come through. Definitely. Well, I'm going to let your boys carry on. I've got to ask quickly, though, can I have a go myself?
If we get you trained up, you can have a go, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that. And stick around, because we're going to bring you some tags later on, and if you can identify who's done them, you could even get yourself a little cash reward. Back to you, Sophie.
We want you in the full kit there, Rav, OK? Now, let's have a look at our first batch of Most Wanted faces this morning. Faces number 1 and 2 are Carl Cronin and Jason Lee. Both are wanted in connection with large-scale property fraud in London and Surrey. Cronin uses as many as 11 aliases, including James Moore, Jonathan Carson, Andrew Tapper and Carl King. If you've seen either of these two, call us. Number 3, Lancaster Police would like to find this man, William Edward Morris, who is being recalled to prison. Originally from Liverpool, Morris has connections in Durham and worked as a labourer on livestock farms in the past. Has he been working somewhere near you? And face number 4, Lancashire Police would like to talk to this man, 66-year-old Wazir Ullah Khan, about a serious sexual assault. It's believed that he may be in the East Lancashire area. Have you seen him? If you know where they're hiding, call or text. The numbers are on the screen right now. Let's go back now to the Forest Hall area of Newcastle, where police are desperate to catch the man involved in this horrific attack.
When I turned round, seeing the guy with the knife, the first thing, I just panicked, but then when I realised it was actually a bread knife, a large bread knife, I was terrified. He didn't just stand there threatening us, he came towards us, back up the steps towards us, waving this bread knife at my face. I was trying to defend myself on the steps. My friend came running down the stairs, shouting at the attacker, and he chased him for a bit, but the attacker got away. He was running too fast. I realised I'd actually been stabbed. I mean, I seen blood, but I actually realised I'd been stabbed when the guy jumped away from us. I felt I felt a pain, and I looked down, and as soon as I looked down, there was just blood gushing out from under my arm. That's when I started panicking. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever went through in my life. I'm just glad I had my best friend there to actually help us. I don't know what might have happened.
The attacker ran south past a parade of shops towards Station Road. The victim was lucky to escape alive.
I had lacerations on my veins. I had to have surgery 24 hours after the incident because it wouldn't stop bleeding. The doctors told us if it had went in just a little bit more towards my chest, he says, you might not be here now. I just felt so vulnerable, I felt helpless. I mean, I'm a young man now, I should be able to look after myself, and I've had to come back to my mum's.
I just wanted to look after him. I just wanted to make sure he was all right.
Yes, I kind of go back over that area, especially on a night time, over the step bridge. That was a regular route to pubs, to meet friends, to everything. I can't take that route anymore.
My mum lives in Forest Hall, and my mum thinks about it all the time. And then somebody must know who he is, somebody must know.
The attacker was about 5'9", 5'10", black, greasy hair, very bad acne, skinny, medium build, very scruffy looking. He's never been caught, and he obviously thinks he's got away with it.
And with me now is DCI Max Black, who's actually leading the investigation. The first thing I've got to ask is, how is Derek doing now?
Well, Derek's doing very well physically. He's making a very good physical recovery. But the emotional and the psychological effects of an attack such as this can be very long-lasting. And now, even 6 months after the event, Derek is still very upset.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, we've got to catch this guy. Obviously, the violence used is unbelievable. What have you got to go on?
Well, we'll have a number of leads. First of all, we've got an EFIT image, which was completed by Derek shortly after the attack.
I think we can have a look at the EFIT now as we talk about it.
OK. We think that's a very good image, and Derek's provided us with a very good description of the attacker. We know that it's a white man, a local man, a man with a local accent, about 5'8" to 5'10" tall, slim build, mid-20s, with dark hair and a fringe, and Derek describes him as having an acneed complexion on his face.
OK, so we've got a fair few points to go on there. And you've also got some CCTV.
We do have CCTV. We have some images of a man that we know was in the right place at the relevant time. We're anxious to trace this man because he might have some significant information to tell us. So we're anxious that if anybody recognises him, or indeed if he recognises himself, that they get in touch with us.
Because you're keeping an open mind about this person, you could just eliminate him just as easily as anything else. So you just want to find out who he is.
Absolutely, but he could be a witness. He could have important information for us.
OK. Now, what do you think the motive was in something like this?
Well, there appears not to have been a motive, and I stress this is very, very unusual, and I'd like to reassure viewers on that point. There have been no random attacks since then. Typically, if we're dealing with a knife-related injury, we would be talking about perhaps criminals falling out, perhaps people in a domestic setting, but a random attack by a stranger in a public street is very, very rare indeed, and it's important that we track down this offender and bring him to justice.
OK, and the blade as well, there's some significance about that as well?
Yes, well, Derek describes it as a long-bladed kitchen knife, possibly a bread knife. We know that the attacker didn't drop it at the scene because we put a cordon around the scene straight away and searched it meticulously.
Okay.
No knives were recovered, so we haven't recovered that knife, and we're very anxious to do so.
And can you very quickly just remind us when and where this happened?
Yes, it happened on January the 17th this year in Forest Hall in North Tyneside. It happened on a footbridge which separates the local shopping centre from a residential estate, and the attack actually happened on the steps of the footbridge.
OK, thanks for joining us, Matt. And if you can help, please get on the phone and give us a call.
We've had some very interesting calls coming in. I'll fill you in on those later. But first, take a look at this lot.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and this man's casing the joint outside Costcutters in Tysoe, Warwickshire. He has a look around and tries to force one of the doors. No such luck. Maybe this bloke can help. You could have done your trousers up first, mate. Oh, looks like he's spotted the camera. Give us a smile. No? All right, then. It doesn't stop him coming back and trying again. They end up stealing over £4,000 worth of fags and booze. Know 'em, shop 'em. Finsbury Park, North London, last November. And we need to identify this man. Here he is, going into the mosque. Later that evening, police believe he was involved in an unprovoked attack on a man in Blackstock Road. The victim was slashed across the face with a knife, severing an artery. He needed 40 stitches and is now scarred for life. Can you give us a name? There's a 10 grand reward leading to the arrest and conviction of the attacker. These 4 men are part of a professional gang of thieves. They're after 2 businessmen carrying over £250,000 worth of jewellery. They've tracked them across London before making their move at Euston Station. Here's one of them making off with a bag. Who are they? 4 robberies at one branch of Lloyd's TSB on Tottenham Court Road, London. Police think one man's behind it. Spot the difference? This one's from March 2006 and this one's from just last November. Maybe the crash diet is an attempt to throw us off the scent. Each time he tells the cashier he's got a shotgun and demands cash in 20s and 50s. Police think he's got away with 10 grand. Now Lloyds are offering a 25 grand reward for arrest and conviction. Name, please.
If you have a name, call us 08000 468 999, or you can text us on 63399, text CW, space, and then your message. And don't forget to leave the space or your message won't get through. Now, we've had lots of calls already this morning, two interesting ones. The betting shop, when the man there on CCTV caught going round and round in circles before grabbing the money. Well, we've been we've had a call from someone who says they think they know where police might find him. And also the two guys fitting card cloning machines at a petrol station. We've also had a call with an address for one of those suspects. So do keep your calls coming. We really do want to hear from you. Now, 2 weeks ago, we featured the story of 18-year-old Adam O'Toole, who was knocked down and killed in Huddersfield 2 years ago by a motorist who simply drove away, leaving him for dead. Following our appeal, we had a number of interesting calls about the car, but we need more, specifically the driver's name. The police are very keen that we show the film again in the hope that someone watching today can help. Adam O'Toole was Beverly's only child.
I brought Adam up to respect people and instilled in him that, yes, he deserved a bit of respect too. And like I say, that's what made Adam into the lovely man he was.
On the 6th of March 2007, Beverly and Adam travelled together into Huddersfield. Adam and his mum said goodbye together here at Huddersfield bus station.
And the last time I saw his face was when his bus was pulling out to go that way to take him to college.
Later that day, Adam bought a sandwich at this shop. He then crossed the road towards the post office. He was struck with such force that he was catapulted into the air and landed on top of a parked car before hitting the pavement. The motorist didn't stop. They simply drove off. Adam died at the scene. He was 18 years old.
I just finished my first day at work and I got a phone call from my mum just telling me she'd had some bad news, that Adam had been killed.
I received a phone call from Paul Sharrock, our head coach, and weirdly enough it was me who answered the phone, and the news he broke to me, at first I thought was quite... I'll be very honest, I thought, are you actually joking?
And it was just like a sledgehammer. I mean, I just sat in the car for about 20 minutes crying myself.
It took a while for me to process what had actually been said to me, and once I had figured it out, just all the emotions ran out, then I just couldn't believe what had happened.
I thought I heard a knock at the door, and I must have left the door unlocked, and all of a sudden there was a policeman stood there, and I didn't know what to think, and he said, "Adam's been involved in an accident." And then all I remember is the words that said he was sorry, but it was fatal. And I just remember screaming and just dropping to the floor. And then the next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. And Adam is laid there. And he just looked like he was asleep, and all he had was a little red mark just on his cheek. And I just wanted him to wake up. And then I had to tell this man that yes, that was Adam. What the hell happened that day? I need somebody to tell me what happened.
Well, you can see from that just how important it is for Adam's mum, Beverly, to find out what happened. Do call us. The numbers are on the screen. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can call the independent charity Crime Stoppers. Their number 0800 555 111. Now, some more of our most wanted faces. They could be hiding in your neck of the woods. Number 5 is Kevin Snowd. Police want to speak to him about a number of motoring offences. Police would like to know his whereabouts. Face number 6, this is 30-year-old Lee John Foster. Foster is wanted on 2 separate warrants, one for serious public disorder the other for breach of a court order relating to an assault. He has tattoos of a bulldog and Everton FC on his right arm. So where is he? Case number 7, Dennis O'Brien. O'Brien has been recalled to prison. He hasn't been seen since 2006. He has connections in Liverpool and in Ireland. This is an old picture of O'Brien, but if you think you recognise him, do let us know. And finally, Neil Craig Roberts is wanted in connection with a string of fraud offences at Gatwick Airport. He uses many aliases, the most recent being Daniel Thomas. So if you've spotted him lately, please do give us a call. The numbers are on screen. Or if you need a second look, you can go to our website, bbc.co.uk/Crimewatch Roadshow. Now, with summer here, many of us will soon be packing our bags and heading for the sun. But as we top up our tan, we let down our guard, and that's when we become vulnerable to scam merchants waiting to take advantage. Well, I'm here with Alex Conran and Paul Wilson, the stars of BBC Three's Real Hustle, who know more than most what can happen to you. Good morning again. Now, it often happens before you even get to that beach, doesn't it?
Yeah, it usually starts in the airport. If you drives me crazy. I walk around the airport and see people with their passports in places that are easy to steal. They've got their bags open with all their money in it. Their guard is down because they think they're in a secure area, but anywhere there's a thief about, and if they have the opportunity, they'll steal it. So with a passport, if you see somebody putting it in this pocket, it's...
Which so many people do.
Yeah, it's so easy to steal from there.
You'd think it wouldn't be there, because it's there, it's right next to your eyes.
Little distraction, a little tap with a newspaper, just as you're pushing past someone in a crowd, it's really easy to get that out without them having a clue. And if they put it in their back pocket, you'll quite often see, you know, somebody, if they're travelling with their wife or family, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Long, Mr. Long's got this in his back pocket.
5 passports in his pocket.
Exactly, yeah. And one of them will be against his body in the back pocket, but the others are loose, and if you pull those out, because of that one at the back, he can't feel those coming out. And you could literally take them out like this, and he wouldn't feel a thing. So it's a really important thing. If you lose that, if your whole trip is ruined if you lose your passport.
I think a lot of people get fooled, though, don't they? Because they go into the airport, they go through the security bit, and you think, oh, I'm secure, I'm safe, these are all travellers.
You're surrounded by, fellow travellers, you've passed security, so everything is fine. But don't let your guard down just because you've passed security. It's so cheap to get a ticket nowadays. Just flying from, London to Edinburgh can be very profitable for a thief who knows what he's doing.
So he gets into the area and gets his pickings. Now, you're carrying 2 things there, which I would think are pretty safe for carrying your belongings, but presumably you're going to say they're not.
Well, no, they've both got advantages and disadvantages. This is your standard bum bag.
Yeah.
Now, the problem that pickpockets have is that they need to identify where your belongings are. By wearing one of these full, you're kind of saying, this is where I keep all my stuff.
Yes.
This is where my passport is, my money. Here it is, come and take it. Now, there's 3 ways that people take these. One is just by simply undoing the buckle. You'll be surprised that if you're in a queue, if you're in a crowded area, somebody jostling up against you sometimes, all they have to do is just do that, it comes undone. Other times, they'll literally just go for the zip and open it whilst you're being distracted, and they're up against you, dip in, take stuff out.
Yeah.
The most dangerous one, which is the reason why bum bags are not a very good idea, is a lot of the times they just cannot be bothered to take the strap off or go into it. It requires a lot of skill. A lot of the times what they do use is razor blades.
Which
so they will
might
cut
be effective
through.
For them, but could be quite painful for
very
you if they
dangerous.
get it wrong.
People have been known to have been cut by thieves using razor blades. They'll either go for the strap or they go for the bag itself, open it and just grab everything that's out of there. What is a much better idea is this, which is called a money belt. Now, money belt, you can put passports, credit cards, money, anything you like in it. But the advantage of this is you wear it underneath your clothes.
Yeah, so it's much more hidden. Okay.
So it's a problem for pickpockets to find out if you've actually got anything worth stealing on you.
Now, you two, certainly you, almost became a victim of a scam, didn't you? The taxis abroad. Tell us what happens.
Yeah, well, we both experienced the same scam separately. I was in Lisbon, you were in Rome.
Yes.
And it's basically a by the numbers scam. They keep taking a shot, and most people will maybe go one way, but a lot of people will make the wrong assumption and give them too much money.
Go on, like what?
We'll show you how it works.
Alex is our taxi driver.
Yeah,
I'll be the taxi driver.
We're in the back.
Okay,
so I'm in the front, you two are in the back. Here's your money.
Okay.
So what would happen is we'd arrive at a destination and I would tell you the price. The price is €19.
Okay.
Okay, well, there you go.
You're handing over 20.
Yeah. and I turn around and go, oh, no, actually, it's 19 euros.
Holding up a €10 note.
I'm holding up a €10 note.
Mass confusion. We're not sure whether we've given the right money or not.
Exactly. It can go either way here. Either you're distracted enough by the sightseeing and the fact that you've just arrived, just fresh off the plane, and you say, oh, I'm sorry, that's my mistake, and give me another €10, in which case I've made a profit. Yeah. Or if you say, well, no, actually, I did give you a 20.
I've only got €20 in my wallet.
Yeah, and you stick to your guns, then the excuse that they give is, yes, I know it's 19, but I've only got a 10, I haven't got any change.
Right, so they win either way.
Yeah.
They're just, and you've got the language barrier and everything, haven't
exactly.
you? So,
and imagine somebody trying that with every single fare they get all day.
They can make an awful lot of money.
They can make a lot of money.
And you're not familiar with the money, which is the thing we tell everybody. Make sure you're really familiar with what the money is when you get to the destination.
Very good tip. Thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Great.
So you can catch the next episode of The Real Hustle, and it's on tonight, 10:30, and that's on BBC Three. Now, time to catch up with Peter Lugg, who is with an ex-graffiti vandal. Peter.
Yeah, hi, Sophie. Meet Ben, whose tagging days are long behind him. But, Ben, how did you get into it in the first place, mate?
Well, me and my friends just used to go out destroying things. Probably started when I was about 14, 15 years old.
Give us an insight into the culture of all this. What's it all about?
Basically, I mean, a lot of people are just trying to get fame. They're just trying to get their name in as many places as possible. I mean, we used to travel up and down the country. We'd go to different cities around the world, just painting our name in as many places as possible, just to get the fame.
Is it a territorial thing?
It can be. But it was really just spreading, just trying to get your name in as many places as possible.
Now, in the end, you got out of it, Ben. Why was that?
I just decided that the risks were too great. Just decided to go legit. I work for an organisation called the Graffiti Kings, and basically what we try and do is promote graffiti as a positive art form rather than the negative stereotype. GraffitiKings.co.uk is our website where you can sort of find out all about that. But yeah, it's basically just trying to. We do a lot of work with young kids. With workshops and things like that, and a number of other things.
You mentioned it got too heavy. What are the penalties?
Well, I saw a lot of my friends go to prison behind graffiti, which never happened to me, but it just became too much. I mean, when you see that happening, 10 years penalties being given out and stuff like that.
Ben, thanks a lot. Let's have another look at some of these tags, because remember, there is a few quid in it for you if you can recognise them. There's one down here, looks like Fame 07 or Fame 01, looks like Marek K9 possibly. The police are offering a £50 reward for these, so if you think you can identify them, please get on the phone. The numbers are on the screen now. Back to you, Sophie.
Peter, thank you very much. And we're putting those tags up on our website. See if you can identify any of them. bbc.co.uk/Crimewatch Roadshow. Now, a quick update for you and on some of the progress so far. A relative of one of the wanted faces we've shown you this morning has called in with information about where the police might find that person. We've had another interesting call about the stolen parrots we showed you 2 days ago, and the knife slasher we showed you earlier on, an address for him, as well as the Euston robbers, a police officer with some interesting information about that. Thank you to everybody who has called in. And I was going to ask Rav what he's got for us this morning, but how can I possibly interrupt him? Look at him, he's doing such a good job, fully kitted up. Come on, Rav, keep going. Fantastic. It was quite the part, doesn't he? So I'll tell you instead what we have on tomorrow's show, because we are on the hunt for illegal substances.
There is certain items within the car which are associated with the smoking of illegal substances.
More on that tomorrow. Plus, how small change is becoming big business for criminals. We're after people who make counterfeit cash. Join us tomorrow, 9:15. See you then. Goodbye.